Okay, everyone, so this is the craft for the Harry Potter wand using circuits. And what you'll need to get started is you'll need 3 craft sticks, a 3-volt coin cell battery, an LED, some tape, can either be electrical tape or some other non-conducting decorative tape, and a length of copper tape, which we have here, and of course a pair of scissors. So we're going to dive right in and get started with making this. So I'm going to kind of slide everything out of the way so we can work here. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with one of our craft sticks, and we're going to start by wrapping a small piece of the copper tape around the stick about an inch from one of the ends. So I'm just going to snip that there. And then you get to watch me try and peel this, which is always fun.
But I'm wearing gloves.
So we're going to peel that off. And again, we're going to wrap this around one end of the craft stick, like I said, about an inch. Doesn't have to be exact, but about an inch from the bottom. And you want to make sure that the tape goes all the way around, like so. And then we're going to do this again, leaving about a 1/2 inch gap between the two pieces. Cut that. And again, like I said, you're going to leave about a 1/2 inch gap or so between the two and make another circle all the way around like so. Now, after you made your circle, you're going to place a line of copper tape starting at one of your wraps going all the way to the end of the stick, and another line starting at the other circle going to the other end of the stick. So if I take and kind of measure this, and you do want to make sure that when you measure this, that the copper tape overlaps the copper tape you've already put on the stick, and then just run it all the way to the end. Lay it on top like so, and then just run it all the way to the end of your craft stick, like so. And then we're just going to repeat that on the other side. You want to leave that gap clear. Again, we'll just overlap the copper tape that's already there and run it all the way to the end of the stick like so. So that's our first stick. And once we've got that done, we're just going to kind of set that aside. We're going to take a second stick, and we're going to place a line of copper tape on it, running the entire length of the craft stick. There we go. So we've got our second stick made. Now, on the third stick, what we need is we need to make a switch that will cover the gap here. And we're going to do that using a piece of our third stick. The easiest way to do this is to just lay the third stick on top and kind of look to see how much you need to cut. You'll probably need about an inch or so all total, just to make sure you completely cover both of your copper tape wraps that you've got on there. So I'm just going to kind of mark that with my thumb and cut a piece like that. So now we have our switch that will cover, like I said, our gap there. Okay, so we've got our 2 craft sticks with the copper tape already applied to them. We've made our switch. Now the next thing we're going to do is attach our LED here to the two sticks with the copper tape on them. Now, a neat thing to remember about LEDs is when you're working with the coin cell batteries, when you're placing the LED on the battery, it's good idea to test to make sure the LED works and the battery works. If it doesn't work in one direction, you can kind of spin it around and try the other way. But an easy way to tell just by looking at the LED is one of the legs is always longer than the other. And the longer leg is always the positive leg. So that's the leg that will always go to the positive side of the battery. So if you kind of want to make a note of that in your head as you're building this, you can put the positive leg against one side. So if I put it against our first stick here with the gap on it, then I know when I'm going to attach my battery later, that's the side that the positive side of the battery will need to go against, is this same stick. But that's just kind of a helpful hint for later. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to use our copper tape to secure the LED to these two sticks here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of copper tape and I'm going to trim it so that it's a little shorter than the LED legs. Actually, a little longer. I misspoke. I'm sorry. I'm going to cut that. And I'm going to spread the legs on the LED apart a little bit just to make it easier to work with. I'm going to kind of stand this up so I've got one leg on top and one on bottom. And I'm going to use the copper tape, if I can get it on there. To secure it to the copper tape on my first leg that we worked with, like so. Then I'm going to take the second piece of the copper tape and we're going to secure the other leg to the second stick. Again, I'm going to go to the inside of the leg here with the tape, like so. And then take the two pieces together like that. So I have my LED kind of at the ends holding these two sticks together. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to finish my switch out here. This little piece that we cut earlier, I'm going to measure out another piece of copper tape that runs the entire length of one side of the switch. Again, I'm going to put it on here and get it as straight as I can. And just run it down the length of the switch piece, just like that. Now, okay, so we've made our switch, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start assembling everything together. So I've got the remainder of that third stick where I cut the switch off from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to place this in the middle of sticks 1 and 2 here and just kind of squeeze everything together like so. And then I'm going to take a piece of either electrical tape or some other non-conducting decorative tape. If you had like duct tape, like especially the pattern duct tape, you could use that. Anything, whatever goes along with your craft sticks, whatever color you like. This is where you get to use your imagination and be a little creative. I want to squeeze everything kind of firmly together, and I'm just going to wrap this piece of tape around the middle to hold everything together, like so. So now I'm going to take my switch and I need to secure it to the top. Again, remember we've got this gap here, and the whole point of the switch is to bridge that gap to turn the LED off and on when we insert our battery. So I'm going to bridge that and I'm going to create a little hinge for it. You can kind of see how I'm laying that there, bridging that gap. I'm going to create a hinge for it by using another piece of tape, about 1 inch or so long. Doesn't need to be terribly long. I'll cut that off. I'm going to stick that on about half of the switch. Run it down over the end onto the top of the other craft stick. I'm going to pinch the edges just to fold the tape down nicely so it looks a little better. And there we've created our switch. You can see it lifts up, put up the copper tape on the bottom of it. We'll still make contact to the copper tape in the gap. Now the last thing is the battery. Now you can tell we've got a gap here at the end because we cut out a piece of that metal stick. Well, that gap is where the battery's going to go. And if I slide this in between the two craft sticks, and if I've got the right side up, when I squeeze my switch, my light should come on. So that tells me that it's working. So now I can take another piece of tape and wrap around the end of the stick so it'll hold the battery and the sticks together. Cut me off a nice long piece here. Secure that down. I'm going to wrap it around my battery and the sticks both. Kind of squeezing, just keeping it all together there. So it's holding everything in place. And there you go. You've got your magical Harry Potter wand using copper tape circuits and LEDs.